On this solemn yet hopeful day, let us commend our founding fathers and mothers. Without them, there would have been no modern Nigeria. From the fading embers of colonialism, their activism, dedication, and leadership gave life to the belief in Nigeria as a sovereign and independent nation. Let us, at this very moment, affirm that as Nigerians, we are all endowed with the sacred right and individual gifts that God has bestowed on us as a nation and as human beings. No one is greater or lesser than the other. The triumph that Nigeria has achieved shall define us. The travails we have endured shall strengthen us, and no other nation or power on this earth shall keep us from our rightful place and destiny. This nation belongs to you, dear people. Love and cherish it as your very own. Nigeria is yours. Nigeria is remarkable in its formation and essential character. We are a broad and dynamic blend of ethnic groups, religious, tradition, and cultures. Yet, our bonds are yet intangible, strong, invisible, yet universal. We are joined by a common thirst for peace and progress, by the common dream of our prosperity and harmony, and by the unified ideas of tolerance and justice. Forging a nation based on the fair application of these noble principles to a diverse population has been a task of significant blessing, but also serious challenge. Fellow compatriots, the journey ahead will not be navigated by the fear or hatred. We can only achieve our better Nigeria through courage, compassion, commitment as one indivisible unit. I promise that I shall remain committed and serve faithfully. I also invite all to join this enterprise to make our beloved nation into its better self. We can do it. We must do it. We shall do it. I wish you all a happy 63rd Independence Anniversary. Thank you very much for listening. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria and bless all of you.
Hello, Nigerians. Happy Independence Day. This is Nigerian Television Authority Channel in Lagos, Session for Excellence. On this Independence Day's presentation of the Sunday show. Well, of course, the Freedom Charter was handed over to Nigeria on the 1st of October 1960 by Princess Alexandra of Kent, representing Queen Elizabeth II. And then Sir Tafawa Balewa gave the independence speech at Race Course. And Race Course was donated by Dusumu for horse races, cricket, and other sports. But of course, it's been renamed Tafawa Balewa Square. Now, of course, we also have the Independence Square. The Independence Square has been renamed Tinubu Square in honor of Madam Eforoye Tinubu, who died in 1887. We also have, of course, the Independence Building, which was built by the British from 1959 to 1961. It was a 25-story building that was the tallest building in Nigeria. And And then under the leadership of President Ibrahim Babangida, it became Defense House until it got burnt and then it's rotten away. Now, do you know that the Freedom Park was Her Majesty's Broad Street prison for political prisoners until 1960? Of course, by 2010, it was reconstructed, and now you can go there and relax. But it was a prison. All right. Now, these are just little landmarks, a few landmarks in Lagos, reminding us of our Independence Day. But in this program today, we will be discussing Nigeria 63, how far? So far. And we'll also be looking at how small scale enterprises, we've enhanced so that we can build a new Nigeria. But all in all, today, our discussion will center on how far we have come, what we're doing, and then, of course, where we're going. And I have my guests in the studio already. Now, it's time to shake off all those things we've been eating, without knowing the impact. And then, of course, No Nyama Nyama is here. My name is Chris Aquarando. Happy Independence, Nigeria!
Hold on, you're wearing green. Today is what?
Yeah, you see.
Happy Independence!
I love Nigeria.
Oh my God!
All right, so go on.
Oh, okay, still on the matter. Yes, my people, how far? How far? I will not finish it. But now let me bring it down to that. That angle that is so key for us. Health is wealth. Health is wealth. Pick your poisons, nutrition. So let's get into the game. Now today, 63 years, no be beans. So all we're going to be doing, every rep we're going to start from 60, 61, 62, and 63. And now we're going to play with the upper body. Now, for things to change, you have to change. So we are going to change the way we do the push-up. But beginners, please, just remember, pick your poison. Do your push-up from the knee. Advanced, intermediary. Add this to your workout routine tomorrow. See what will happen here. We're going to do what we call, you sit back for things to change. You have to change. See the push-up and add this movement to it, and then you stand up. Yes, that is how we're going to go. But let's just quickly get this done before they will tell us it is time. So let's change how we're going to do the push-up this afternoon. Sit back, push up, jump that leg in, jump it back, sit back, push up, and are you there? Beginners, remember, let's give them small beginner level, some push-up. You know why it is vital? For things to change, you have to intelligently use a lot of muscle group. We keep telling you we are going to be dropping tips. A lot of muscle group. Later in the day, your metabolism will skyrocket. But remember, nutrition is key. Oh, that one, add it. Your upper body is very key. Now, let's go to that lower body. You keep telling me, what do I do? I'm not in the gym house. No problem. Buy a resistance band. We're going to do something here. A lot of muscle group will get more out of that body. Now, we call this one, we're going to do a side lunge. See, my problem here is, when you do the side lunge, you need to hinge. If you don't do that, that is what we call yama yama. So we don't want yama yama on the Sunday show. We want us to understand that these things must be done right. Remember, for things to change, you have to change. Hinge, side lunge, get back up. I told you we're going to add a lot of movement. Oh my God. You want to have something good with your deltoid muscle? Add that today. Let me face you now. Side lunge, get out of it, step in and press. I don't want to hear that. There's a problem. You travel, you cannot get your workout in. That is what is going to make me get angry. Nigeria must remain as Nigeria. Come on. If you are tired, remember you have to rest. Oh, if I'm not entertaining you, why are you here? Still on the matter. Now, I know this one. Everybody wants to have flat tummy. If you want to have flat tummy, you have flat tummy. The only problem is fat. Now, cover that. How do we take it out? That is what we are going to be looking at. It is nutrition. Lifestyle has changed. But now, if you want them to show where as Nigeria is getting better, let's add some routine to our core muscle. Now we're going to look for 61, 62 till we get to where? 63. Now we're going to start with that. This abdominal one, very key. The deeper one, we're going to start by making use of the leg. The leg is a large muscle group. We call this one obstacle. Let's circle. Nigeria, we are getting it right gradually. Obstacle 61, 62, 63. We're there. They have not told me that it is time. Now we just did something. Still on the matter. I just got in that signal because right now I want to go and celebrate with Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria, so I'm celebrating. Now, let's just quickly get this in. For things to change, you have to change. Add them to your workout routine tomorrow when you go out and work out. But remember, nutrition is key. Nutrition is key. Still on the matter. Don't touch the die. This is still the Sunday show. Happy Independence to you all.
This is still Nigerian Television Authority, Channel 10 Lagos, and you are on the Sunday show. Where else would you rather be actually on a Sunday afternoon? But this Sunday afternoon is different. That is our Independence Day. Take it or leave it. On the 1st of October, Nigeria became independent. Whether you like it or not, we are independent, and that's all there is to it. But how far have we come with our independence? What have we done with it? And of course, don't forget there are also other countries who became independent, like us, in 1963. How far have they come? So I have two gentlemen in the studio today to look at how far we've come. Now, I am not in the group of those who believe we've not come far. That's not true. What is important is how far have you come? All right. What is still yet to be done? Okay. Now, I have here Dr. Chukwuka Moye. Dr. Moye was a presidential candidate of one of the political parties, the African Development Party, right? African Democratic Congress. And then he also runs AG Care Foundation, you know, in support of nation building and social impact. So, Dr. Chukwuka Moye, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I also have a gentleman who he's the acting chairman of ADC in Lagos, Honorable Lekon Bada. You contested to the House of Reps, right?
Yes, I did.
You did.
In the last election.
You did. Yeah, but today we're not talking about political parties, we're talking about Nigeria.
Okay,
All right. Now, why it's so important having you both is that you're not just politicians, I mean, that kind of thing, but you are nation builders, so you understand why we're having this program today. This program is so important to this station because we want our people to know that we don't just exist on paper. Nigeria is a reality. We may have made our mistakes. That's normal. Even the human beings, they make mistakes, all right? But what's important is when you make mistakes, you correct your mistakes to be able to move forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me start with Dr. Chukwuka Moye. When the Freedom Charter was handed to Tafawa Balewa, Sir, by Prince Alexandra of Kent, representing the Queen, it meant that there was a transfer of authority from a colonial power to a newly independent country with sovereign status, isn't it?
Correct.
What does that mean?
Well, so it means that, you know, even though those that were colonizing us were responsible and were in control of our resources, they're now saying, hey, you guys have been asking us to let go, leave us alone. Now we're leaving you alone. And, you know, there are different schools of thought regarding, did they really leave us alone? Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's another one.
It's a separate conversation, right? Yeah. However, what I tell people is, regardless of what happened then,
yes,
the truth is, we did have an opportunity to begin to take our
own destiny.
Yes, in our own hands,
okay.
right? And in that light, I often tell people that you're in charge of your resources. You are doing well, relatively at the time. You know, at the time we were talking about, oh, let's fast forward. There's potential. Nigeria has potential. We're an agrarian economy at the time. It's cocoa,
palm oil,
and all that.
Groundnut, cotton.
So we're doing okay. What happened? to us. What I often tell people is that when we talk about 63 years, let's liken it to a human being, a person who's 63.
Okay.
Okay. One of the things I tell people all the time is I don't want to be seen as someone who is always told that you have potential.
And you're
If
not
you
doing
continue
anything
to
about
tell
it.
me that I have potential, I'm now 63 years old, and you're still telling me I have potential, then there's a
Something
problem.
wrong.
There's something wrong, right?
Okay, let's get those things wrong. Honorable Bada, of course, by 1963, 1st October, we now had a Republican status. Okay, so, but for me, what's most important is what Dr. Moye was talking about. You are told you can be on your own. So in that case, at 63, you should have some milestones, right? So what are those milestones from your point of view?
Well, at this point, at 63, for a country like Nigeria, we are not supposed to have hassles in terms of general elections. As in, we are supposed to get it right. That is one of the aspects I see. Then, in the aspect of unemployment, again, even during the military era, unemployment is not this bad. Like now that we are now in democracy. Fine, democracy is the best style of government. But in 63 years of independence, we are supposed to be like benefiting the dividends of democracy. But if you go out there today with what I see on my way coming, our 63, I wouldn't want to call us a fuller 63 because you said something earlier that we have advanced, even if some people seems not to want to believe that Nigeria is moving. Yes, but from some other language too, at 63, we still have some credits to what we can say we have achieved that is different from how we used to do things in the past. So it's all not that bad. It's just about everybody coming on board and telling us what they really want to do. I've watched TV every October 1st. One other guest will come to NT or any other media and tell us it's going to get better. It's going to get better. I've been saying this is going to get better since probably when we were 50, even before 50. And we are still here today at 63 and still talking about how it's still going to get better. So
Okay, Dr. Moye.
Yes.
Let me quickly bring you in here. It's going to get better. By 1966, our democratic experiment was truncated, which means the military came in and then took a long time to manage the affairs of the country. Now, do you think within that period of military interregnums, we actually moved forward?
I mean, those sort of interventions or interruptions, depending on how you look at it, often have their implications, but does not mean that it should stop you from where you're going. We can have issues and as individuals have things that, may limit us. But after those episodes, we need to be able to at some point say, you know what, okay, I need to dust myself off and we need to start and move on. So a lot of times I try not to overanalyze what could have been.
Okay.
Yeah, because I still have years ahead of me.
Okay.
That most times the concern that I have is what I said earlier. I just don't want to remain potential forever. Yeah. I don't want us to come here and have this conversation next year.
And see, we talk about potential.
Oh, yes. There's potential. So it will be better.
I think it will soon become a song. But on Bada,
yes,
let me quickly. The youths make about 45% of our population so far. When you talk about the World Health Organization's definition of youth being, from 18 to 65. Okay, so if we look in terms of that, we have a body of people who need to be engaged.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Be engaged actively in building the nation. How far have we come?
Well, I can always use the reference of the last rally, the NSAS matter. That was when I saw the youths, the Nigerian youths, as in they've started something. Back in the days, you see a councillor someone running for the office of a councillor, he is 65 or 75. Where are the youths? Even, I don't want to talk about the other, but now the youths are coming out now. They are even engaging themselves, not even waiting for the government to now come inside. We've seen them in the entertainment industry, even in the diaspora. Abroad, I saw something like they want to be part of how to save Nigeria, for it to get better. So the youth are not even waiting for the big politicians or the old politicians anymore. They are doing their thing. Though there are other challenges they are facing from the big guns now because they are trying to want to hold forth. But then the youths are not really given. They are now part of the system and they are making every effort.
So the youths are now part of the system.
They are part of
That's
the system.
what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Dr. Moy, I am not going to ask you about the adults. I am going to ask you about our system of development. It does look as if we do one step forward, 10 steps backwards, and we keep doing that. What do you think we should do, irrespective of political affiliations, irrespective of religious dispensation, irrespective of your tribe? What should Nigerians do to make Nigeria better?
Okay, Mr. Chris, thank you. I'm going to talk about three things. Okay. Interestingly, the first one, people will find it fascinating when I say that I'm actually pleased with the roles that the president reeled out in terms of the ministerial, positions, and I'll tell you why. Not the appointees, but the
No, we're not talking about appointees.
The portfolios.
Because
And
here,
I'll
remember,
tell
we
you
said no
why.
politics.
Yeah.
So.
I'll tell you why. The portfolio and the roles kind of, indicates the intention of the government.
Of the government.
Yeah. So you are now seeing things like national orientation having a portfolio. You are seeing things like
Unlike
solid
before,
minerals.
when it
Unlike
was
before,
subsumed
it was
in
subsumed in
Ministry of
something,
Information.
So for me, I was quite impressed by that because it gives an indication of the areas of interest.
Okay.
So that's the first thing, that at least from the standpoint of strategic intent, there is intention to
do something.
do some things. So that's the first point I want to make. The second point is the point around the importance of execution. Okay. Yeah. We've had so many plans.
That's execution of policies,
of
projects, and ideas,
and
right?
ideas at all levels, government, even private sector. We all fall into into that cycle.
Yes, I wanted to emphasize that because that's a mistake people make. They keep keeping everything on the government,
No.
especially
It's
even on the
everybody.
federal government.
No.
Okay.
It's everyone, because government will do its policy and say, okay, maybe they have some limitations here or challenges. That's fine. But on the private side, remember that the country is not just the only function of government. The role of all the other stakeholders, including private sector, right? So execution, even on the private side, what are we also contributing? What are we doing? What are the efforts we are making? It's not only government that will solve the issue of youth employment.
Absolutely.
So private sector, what am I doing about it? I'm doing my own orientation. I'm engaging people. I'm mentoring people.
Speaking of that, I wanted to also bring in your organization's job creation ideas and just quickly speak around that.
Oh, very quickly. One of the things that's important, I tell people that what's the gap is role modeling. Young people are looking for what to do, but when they look at all their role models, they don't really have as many options. So that's one of the things I try to do, that I go around, I try to mentor, young people. We create programs that show people how to actually do things, make them employable. It's one thing to say, oh, there's unemployment, but do they have the skill?
That's it. Are they employable?
Are they employable? So one of the big things that I focus on is ensuring that they're employable.
That's where AG Care comes in,
Correct.
right? Okay, so all right, so I'm still discussing with the two gentlemen in the studio, Dr. Chuka Moye, and then of course Honorable Kombada, who's an activist. All right, we're talking about Nigeria, Nigeria 63, how far so far. What interests me, Dr. Monye, is that you have magnanimously pointed out that the government has intent to do something. And you've also, probably for the first time, somebody's telling Nigerians that you are also involved. I mean, I don't want to rehash what John F. Kennedy said, President F. Kennedy. Think of what you can do for your country, not what the country can do for you. People don't want to hear that, because this is a country where it's only good when you are involved. But if you're not part of government, if you're not part of the system, then everything is bad. You know, that's why I said at the beginning, and Honorable Bada mentioned it, that yes, we're doing something, but it is how far we're doing it. That's what's important. So I want you, as we're rounding off, to tell Nigerians what they should do, so that not next year when we come back, we're talking about intent and potential.
No, before I tell you what they should do,
yes.
I don't want us to undermine and underrate the impact of you still being potential at 63.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
And the real reason why I'm mentioning that is, if somebody wishes that they are doing better, they're 63 years old, what it means is they may have all sorts of conditions, from mental health to just having regrets. There's all sorts of pain. And I'm saying this because if you're on one side of the divide, you will not just expect that 63-year-old person to just begin to, figure things out, because you can see that he needs support. He needs reorientation. Okay. He needs encouragement. Okay. He needs all these different things. So I'm saying, as much as we want to, tell the people that we should find things, look inwards, as it were. Let's remember that the state of mind of the people needs some form of intervention as well.
Some form of reorientation.
Some form of reorientation. And that's why I said I pay particular interest in the fact that I now see, Ministry of Orientation as a particular, ministry. It's important, because somebody is not going to know how to look inwards.
What you're saying, someone has to be able to appreciate where you're standing. I'm a Nigerian. Okay, this is where I'm standing.
Yes.
That's where I want to get to.
That's where I want to get to.
Yeah, because if you don't have that knowledge, then you will have a problem. You still be where you are, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Okay. And once there's clarity, then you start to make the effort. I made that just last week. I told somebody this. I said, everybody's shouting about the impact of FX.
Okay.
Now, there are a number of people that have come in the agri sector and food sector saying, but I've farmed and produced, harvested all these things that can be exported so that I can get
some resources.
Yes. But they don't know how.
How? Okay.
These are some of the opportunities.
Now
and they're out there. And these are young people.
That's the area we're going to look at. When next we're going to have this discussion, now has to be how we can get the people to start doing something.
With all pleasure.
Okay, so I thank you, Honorable Bada, for being on the program. Keep being an activist, right? And then, of course, I thank you, Dr. Chukamoye.
Thank you.
I hope your foundation will begin to put down figures as the number of people you've been able to
we do.
have.
Yes, we have.
That will happen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is Citizen Sunday Show on NTA Channel in Lagos, this Independence Day. Don't just eat and drink. Think about the nation. I'll be right back. This is Nigerian Television Authority Channel 10 Lagos, Station for Excellence, and you are still watching the Sunday Show on this first day of October 2023, and that's the 63rd independence anniversary of Nigeria. How far? So far. I've been discussing with a good number of guests on the program, and then we have been discussing where we're coming from and where we're going. And I still have two gentlemen in the studio today. Mr. Akin Fatuke, you're welcome to the program. He is of a Chronicler Associates. He's a chartered accountant, he's a communicator, he's a Nigerian.
Thank you very much, Chris. Always nice to see you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, Honorable Oladeji, Dele Oladeji, you're a politician, you're a young man, so you have prospects. There are things about Nigeria you didn't know, but they are telling you the story now. And so you should be thinking on how to lead the country forward, not just remaining in the past. Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to start with you now, Honorable Oladeji. When people say the youths have not been engaged in politics, I tend to disagree, because if we're talking about youth from 18 to 65, they've been in politics. They've also been in governance. But I think the problem is, how far have they been allowed to use their talent in the development of the nation? Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. But actually, the political space is actually open now, more open than it was before.
Yes, of course.
Around
We
the
have to make progress.
Exactly. Around the 2019 election, there was this, allowing youths to come into elective position when the age bracket was slashed down. And we have a lot of young Nigerians that came in on board.
Including you.
Yes, I contested in 2019.
Yes, I know.
And I have some friends that were like 26, applying for the State House of Assembly. So
no, we still have chairman of local governments, commissioners,
yes,
who are in their
very
20s now.
young,
Yeah,
even
but
minister
we shouldn't also forget that in 1983, Jim Obodo was just 27 years old. So that's what I'm trying to point out. Is it that the youth have not been making use of the opportunities, or that they have been clamped down until recently?
To a large extent, I think there's still some few factors pertaining to that. One, largely the youths are largely, distracted.
Okay.
Not that they are not serious, but we have a lot of social issues where you have people entering into university at their mid-20s or late 20s. Immediately after secondary school, you have many youths still going into factories to work before they enter school. And then all this high school fees and everything is deterring youths from going straight after secondary school into university, where they should have graduated in the age of, many youths finish secondary school 16, 17. So averagely they can enter into university 17, 18. At least by 23 they should be out, depending on the course they put in for. But when you have youths that are entering into university 25, 27, so it will sort of drag back a lot of life benchmark where they should achieve to a very old age.
Okay.
So those are some factors challenging youth getting into politics.
Okay, Ms. Fatuke, you are a chartered accountant, but I'm not going to ask you something about counting numbers now. I want us to look at the state of our economy to see why it's not sustaining people like Honorable Oladeji. What we can do to bring the economy up so that people can participate and then be able to also earn, from whatever they're putting in.
Chris, I'll be very frank with you. Dele was struggling. Yes, he had to struggle because we kept them to struggle beyond the capacity that we're giving them. I do not think, in all honesty, we have given them the open, easy field for them to grow. Right here in Nigeria, we still have youth leaders that should have people like Dele that are 70-year-olds, that are 80-year-olds, and what have you. Most of the times, they are out of school, university shut down here and there. Daily, that is the only extent that I will go. Uh, Power is not going to be given a la carte. And Chris made a fundamental statement as regards Jimu Obodo. At the age of 27, we had a head of state, be it military,
Who was also
and,
27.
who was in his 20s. And we had an Obasanjo and who that came in their 30s. You may say that they are, I mean, they just stumbled into it. Murtala Muhammad, you know, in his mid. But I just feel that at the end of the day, Chris, after 23,000 and 11 days, so that resonates well. That is, if you counted the days, well, my accountancy is coming to me now.
No, go ahead.
If you counted the days between Saturday, October 1st, year 1960, and today, Sunday, 1st year 2023, we have chalked a whooping 23,011 days of wombling and fumbling, of corruption, of stealing, of putting ourselves down the drain. And nobody can, can contest the fact that we've had challenging, terrible times, you know, from the military between 1960, 67, 70 war that eventually went on to the Abacha years, where we had some of our worst, the manner of speaking, democratically speaking. But then we still had some glow in terms of how we were able to put ourselves through economically. The JV partnering that happened under him during civilians is something that needed to go with. Even Obasanjo, who began to flower democratic institutions in 1999, they tried his best. Remember, during him, we had issues surrounding debt forgiveness. We had, during his time, banking consolidation. We have liberalization in terms of our telecoms and what have you. Not long after that, we fell into a peonage trap. We could not measure who we are, how we are. We became highly politicized by way of religion, by way of clan. And we are suffering it up till tomorrow. The last 8 years was not the best for Nigeria, I dare say. And unemployment went off through the roof. The subsidy or no subsidy thing had been shown that we were just leaking at all sides. We were highly leveraged, that is the word. You are leveraged when you borrow more than you can repay. And at the same time, we don't have the revenue that we can use to sustain that. We are going bankrupt. Nigeria, at May 29, 2023, was virtually, technically going bankrupt. You are technically going bankrupt when you cannot repay your obligations, when your purchasing managers index, you know, that is a measure of, you know, the logistics, how you bring in your goods and then you turn them around to be able to get your GDP on a higher pedestal. It's all-time low. Inflation was already running through the roof. Then coupled with the twin negatives of security, we couldn't secure ourselves. State actors were acting at different ways. People were being kidnapped here and there. The youths, rather than being in school, were out of school for 9 months, and they came out with the result of being out of 9 months, especially the ladies. The drug issue and pandemic. Having said all that, today we have a new hope, I believe, but that new hope is having some fetters. We have a big elephant in the room.
Well, I'll come to that. Let me come to Honorable Aditi. He has done a panoramic exploration of our situation from the 60s to the present day. And as a young man, and then knowing fully well that leadership has come into your hands anyway, so what do you think should be done differently than we have been doing in order to get this country forward? Of course, he and then you remember Dr. Chukwuka Okoye, who also said that we are beginning to get some direction, but we need traction. What do you think?
Okay. What should be done differently? Is it by the youths or by the government?
Yeah, you are in government now. Youths are government, so I'm not saying you, but I'm talking about as a nation.
As a nation?
You are representing the nation now, so talk about the nation.
Okay. I'll speak from the angle of the youths.
Go ahead.
What we can do better, and then to contribute our own quota to nation building. What I believe is there's still a lot of misinformation in the public about youth getting to power. It's actually doable, and we have some of us getting into power actually. It's not about having the millions. There's still a lot of factors that get youth into elective posts. I'm talking from the angle of politics now. Now, one thing is, like Daddy said, Tinubu always says something before he even became president. The power is not given alakate. So they don't give it to you. You have to be there. I know what I went through to become the state party chairman. I actually vied with elders, old men, and even money bags. I'm talking about millionaires. I won't mention name here. And getting through and getting to that position wasn't easy. But what I have that spoke for me is fellow youths and even adults in the party have seen my hard work. They've seen my sincerity, and they've seen the dedication I have for the party and for democracy. So I have a groundswell of support, even against the money bags. So that helped to that. So the youth need to know one thing, that the space is actually free for everybody. Getting into politics is like our party, it's free. Call me later, you have your membership card. Some party maybe 200 naira. And even most parties is free. Now, when you have that, getting into elective positions is more about your aspiration. If you are not there, the party or the tickets will be given to whoever is available. You have a situation whereby sometimes you have just one single person contesting for his seat in the local government. Sometimes there might not even be people that are like agitating for it. So youth need to get into politics. It's not hard, it's not rocket science. An adage like you have to be well connected. No, you build network over time. Like I came into the studio here, I met Daddy, I met some other people, and then we exchange contacts. That's how you build a network when you get in. People that are in politics too, they start as a rookie. And there's still this popular saying that you need experience. You don't need experience to govern. You don't. You only need to have that passion and that woman feeling, the feeling for the people, and you want to serve your people. You don't have to be in the military for 30 years for you to be a president. You don't have to be in the academic for any other years. Just have the aspiration, you meet the age mark, and then SSCE. So you contest, get there. As long as you have the feeling for your people. We all know what our people need. Water, light, good health, quality education, and every other thing. So these are not rocket science, and these are not magic. So the youth really need to get on the ground. If you are not there, you're not contesting, you always be expected to.
The youth need to get on the ground and not to be jacked by it.
At all.
All right. So, let's look at what we should do to create jobs, what we should do to grow our GDP, what we should do to increase exports. Because if you don't bring in, then you're only spending the little that you have, isn't it? That's why Forex is becoming a problem. Everybody's talking about dollar. I mean, why are we dollarizing everything in any case when we are import dependent, So what are we going to do to make sure that we bring in more dollar so that our economy could grow and, of course, the naira can stabilize?
Chris,
yeah,
the neoclassical economic theorists make definitions between identifying who you are, who I am. I mean, am I a country? Am I a state? Or am I a nation? We have been fumbling and tumbling on that score. And my dear friend and brother, Father Akinwale, Tony Akinwale, tries to make that distinction. Chris, I don't want to sit here and pretend and lie to myself, and I don't want to lie to Nigerians, and I don't think Nigerians should be able to lie to one another. We have not fashioned what I'll call a nation. We are still disparate. We have a constitution that has lied on itself, and we have a constitution that is not working. This constitution is not allowing these factors of production to now continue to produce. I would not for the life of me, for instance, understand why, Chris, I will make you to produce what I think is your factor endowment. Communication. You speak so very well. I'd like to put you out there as an ambassador. Go earn some money for me. You come back home. And then the next thing I will now be asking myself is, where are you from? What religion do you practice? How old you are, or younger you are, and all that kind of stuff. You have gone into an area where you produce, say for instance, mannequins, or you produce the alcohol, and then I say there's going to be a VAT on it, and that VAT has to be shared by people who don't believe in the product that you sell. In other words, what I'm saying that there is so much disjoint. So what we have found, therefore, is that our fumbling and wombling has got us into a stage where we begin to now look at the mirror. There is lack of trust. President Bola Tinubu got into a crossroad and found a comatose patient who's lost a lot of blood, and in the process made an attempt to apply what you call artificial examination and first aid kits. You still have to be very careful, because if you don't handle it with care,
the person may die, right?
The person may die. So we have found ourselves a situation. So can we go back, therefore, Chris, to answer your question directly, to ask ourselves the critical question: are we a nation? Do we have trust? Do we have the capacity to say to ourselves that we can hold election of one man, one vote? If we are able to do that, I'm afraid I will shake the table a little bit. I disagree with our political actors when they say that the concept of Nigeria is not negotiable. It is negotiable. We must look at it again critically, because if we don't do that, Dele and his group is being very civil, sitting down next to me and looking at me and telling me he will be asking me to shift. I've started seeing him saying shift. I cannot continue. The Mohbad case is still very much there. It's not so much of the Mohbad, but there is a lot of anger. There's a lot of pressure all around. The answers is just one thing there to look. We are being asked to fasten our seat belts. Absolutely no problem with that. But when you are going to be asking somebody to fasten seat belts when you are in the air, they say fasten your own first. We need to see from the people that rule us that they need to begin to lead. I am happy. I'm happy. You look at the president's statement. He spoke about giving 25,000 naira to the poorest of the poor. Who are the poorest of the poor? Do we have the capacity to count ourselves? The British came, well, the colonials came, and they put a lot of salt into our capacity to be able to plan. We don't plan. We don't do all those kind of things. That has to stop. Tell ourselves the truth. If the Constitution is not working the way they need to work, let's sit down. We had a constitutional conference. Okay, let's sit down again and say we can't continue to dig and dig at the same place that we planted the corn and expect that we are going to get tomatoes. It's not going to happen. Let's empower the youths. Let the tax reforms be such that we give tax holidays to the younger ones. Let politics begin to count. Let's now begin to look at the fact that our electoral systems are made to work. When I say it's made to work, diaspora voting
let me ask.
all must come together to make sure we are going
in the right direction.
Yes.
So, on Oladiji, just for a round off, there are issues you mentioned now, and then the youths are not outside that bracket. He talked about bringing religion into everything, bringing tribe into everything, bringing sorority into everything, or you went to school, maybe you didn't go to school, and stuff like that. Do you think that the youths also have the capacity to overcome all these challenges?
Yes, we do. Even there will be more organization among up to the youth, we actually have the capacity. Because at least many of us run businesses and we succeed in it. Some of us are into music and they succeed in it. There's a lot of talents and capabilities, capacity and capability. So I think putting them, harnessing all these capacity and talents and putting them to use would be the ideal thing to do. And also to place one point that Daddy raises, there's this issue about election. They need to build, as in nationally, there needs to be more confidence in our votes. As in every election should count. It's very important. This is whereby you have an election and majority or a large number of Nigerians are still like doubting the figure.
But in other countries of the world too,
yes, it happens in the US.
people also dispute elections. That's now criminal. What is most important is that you should know when to stop and allow progress to come in. Then you plan for the next elections. Well, I want to thank Chief now, Akifatuke, who is a chartered accountant and who is the Chief Executive of Chronicler Associates, and then for bearing his mind and telling Nigerians, look, we need to go back to the drawing board. We also need to support the present administration so as to get this country moving forward. And then the Fiery Honorable Olaji, he's the chairman of a party in Lagos, and then he's a young man who understands that you need to go get it. You need to go get it. You can't just wait. You need to go get it. So I thank you both for being on the program today. We do hope that when we call you again, you will come.
It's a pleasure.
All right.
It's a national duty.
It is. It's a pleasure.
Thank you,
All right. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, that's the way it's been on our program today, the Sunday show, this first day of October 2023. Nigeria is celebrating 63 whole years. 63 candles. And then how far have we come so far? There is light in the tunnel. All the guests I've interviewed today have said that we're moving forward, although it is halting, but that what we should now do is to move with shorter steps, and that involves every Nigerian, not just those in government, not just politicians. The private sector should also come in so that we can move this country forward. So that's the size of our package today. Do join us again on Sunday for another edition of the Sunday Show from Mr. Chris Akwanando. Have a wonderful celebration. Nigeria is independent. We should remain independent. Bye for now.